after Deepika Padukone spoke about
Yes,
her own journey of mental health,
right.
depression, anxiety, and now when Amir Khan is advocating, in fact, his latest podcast also spoke about this, that I wish I could take therapy when I was 18.
When I was 18, I read that, yes.
That was
Yes.
so amazing, because that sets an example for so many people that therapy is normal.
And I'm talking about 1985. You can imagine the stigma at that time. People would come and tell me कि हमने सोचा है कि जो डॉक्टर हैं पेशेंट को ठीक करते करते खुद पागल हो जाते हैं.
Oh my God.
My joke is that when you see two people entering a cabin, I want you to say who is the patient and who is the relative. You know, because people are so normal. Like today, if I have fractured my bone, I will go to an orthopedic. I won't go to a faith healer. Then I'll go and get my tarot read. Then I'll get my Janam Patri read. Then I will say that, oh, can I do this? Can I do that? Naturally, I want to. Arey Baba, go and address the problem, na?
I had read a very interesting phrase that people don't fake depression. They fake being normal. Welcome to Perception and Beyond, the Suman Agarwal Show, where we cut through the noise to talk about what truly matters. In this episode, we are joined by Dr. Anjali Chhabria. She's an author of the book Death is Not the Answer. She's a renowned psychiatrist and a mental health advocate. As we uncover the truth about depression, anxiety, panic attacks, and high-functioning sadness. From childhood trauma to social media stress, this conversation challenges myths and brings clarity to emotional well-being. A must-watch for parents, professionals, and everyone who is seeking real insight. Hi Anjali, welcome to Perception and Beyond.
Thank you so much for having me here.
So delightful to have you here, because this is one subject which is very, very close to my heart. Especially somebody who has experienced mental health herself. So this is a journey which I'm going to cherish, because today I know that there will be a lot of things, a lot of information that will be, a lot of beans will be spilled today, and this is definitely the need of the hour.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me here and also discussing my favorite topic, mental health.
Absolutely. So people who have never experienced depression,
Right.
perceive it as just sadness. I think to a great extent, even I felt that way until I experienced depression myself.
Right.
So, how do people understand that what are the different energy levels and what are the symptoms basically, and how does one explain what depression is?
So, that's a very, very important question because, a lot of people feel, oh, but it's okay to feel sad. Now, sadness is a mood which all of us feel. Sometimes you're disappointed, sometimes you're anxious, but depression is a mood disorder in which there could be either a loss of interest in everything pleasurable, or people may experience sadness for nothing which is going wrong in the environment. And this may last for days together, for weeks together, where along with your mood changes, you may also experience appetite changes, sleep changes, and you may not feel interested in doing anything. And then that's when a person starts wondering, what is happening to me? So that is a mood disorder, whereas, simple mood changes are something which everybody experiences. And as you rightly said, it's like many a times people who don't know about it, they feel, arey, what is this depression? These are all new age terms, and what do you have to be depressed about? You have everything. A lot of parents tell their children that, not understanding how damaging that can be to their already fragile mental health.
So tell me something. In olden days when we were young, we had never heard of mental health or depression So do you think that this is something which is a new age issue, or this has always been there but people were not able to recognize what mental health
So definitely mental health issues have always been there. But what happened was a lot of things have also changed in the society. You know, earlier relationships were closer. There were a lot of people around. You know, people would just get into your personal space and ask you to do things or just pull you out and keep you occupied. Now, what has happened is the families have become smaller. There are lesser people who you actually open your heart and talk to.
Right.
Okay, and people are withdrawing more into screens. Okay, now a combination of all this. Okay, and earlier maybe you may have had an aunt, okay, or an uncle who was just drinking or just loner or who went into like a religious group. Okay, now those are people who could be suffering from mental health disorders, but people did not know it. You know, somebody became a sannyasi or a sannyasin. Okay, now those were people who could be going through problems. Nowadays, because of awareness, because of terms that we are using, and because of the awareness that has come up, especially on social media, people are able to identify their emotions. You know, and we have young children who go to their parents and say, I need to see a mental health expert because I think I'm not feeling good.
Also, because people have become more vocal about this term.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Largely because of the awareness.
Yes.
People have started understanding what depression or anxiety or so-called mental health issue could be.
Yes.
Okay. So how much of our mental health is shaped by the way we see ourselves or perceive ourselves, and not just how others perceive us?
So that is one of the most important things because, if I'll give you a simple example, all my life, I mean, as a growing kid, I was very fat and my pet name was Moti. Okay, but in my head, I never thought it to be a bad thing. I never looked at it as if, okay, people are calling me some things. Okay, today, people are so much more aware. And even, kids are so much on social media. So what happens is I may feel that others' perception of me is not affecting me. But when that change happens and when I start becoming conscious of so many things, which I think are wrong with me, is when the damage already starts. And that is why when we talk to parents, we tell them one of the most important things is how you correct your child. Does your child feel criticized? Are you trying to say something but there is a problem with the perception? And if that is going wrong, we need to take action immediately. Because whatever the world says, your impression of yourself, your self-esteem is very important.
That is what we always teach and educate people in our organization and in the industry of image management, that your self-image is far more important than what others think of you in terms of your impression or how they perceive you.
Absolutely, because you feel confident.
Yes. That is damaged or that is low. A lot of things. So it's more like how you have immunity.
Yes.
So it is your own immunity that you have to continuously boost.
Right.
And how people also treat you, that also, especially your near and dear ones.
Right.
That creates a big impact on your self-confidence, self-esteem, and how you perceive yourself in the long run.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because confidence comes from inside.
True. Absolutely. How do we tie our self-worth to our achievements that we have in our life? So how are they both correlated and how does it impact our mental health?
So what happens is, since you're young, when you go to school, you're taught to achieve. You run a race, people will kind of tell you that, oh, do well, come first, and then when you come first, you're rewarded. Okay, you'll get a medal, right? So automatically the relationship between doing well and feeling good, starts at a very early age. Of course, a lot of schools, a lot of parents are recognizing this, and then they are saying, let me appreciate the effort and not the goal. And soon what happens is, that cycle of effort and reward comes into place, and then people feel good when they achieve. Okay. Now, what is happening is, unfortunately, a lot of young parents also, because they are so enthusiastic about getting their kids to do everything, and achieve. Okay, they're giving them lots of different experiences and helping them to reach the top. Now, they are not understanding that you're slowly creating perfectionists,
Right.
okay, who are so connected with achieving that if they fall short, they actually feel disappointed, or they start feeling low, or start thinking that, I'm not good enough, and put a lot of pressure on themselves. And by then, even if, the parents, the world around is telling them, no, you're doing well, they say, no, I haven't done my best. And they start beating themselves up, and because of that, they may either physically or emotionally fall ill, which then becomes a pattern.
In fact, this just, brought some old memories absolutely, ahead in my memory lane. I was in a joint family when I was a kid. And at that point of time, I was really bad in studies. Academically, I was doing really bad because I was never interested in a very traditional,
Learning.
padhai likhai. And in my family, one of my uncles used to also compare the marks with my cousins and
Right.
things like that. So at that point of time, I used to really feel so anxious that this is the time when, everybody is going to be, in
Judging me.
in the hall, and, now the comparisons will be made. So if you look at that angle of my life, I was never appreciated for the academics. And then I was also tagged as the, not so intelligent kind
Right,
of a
the
person.
dull
The
person in the
dull
house.
person, and one is an intelligent one and one is the
Right.
dull one. So
Right.
वो नाम ही पड़ गया था कि इसको तो कुछ आता जाता नहीं है.
Right.
But
Right.
thankfully, I was very good with games. I was very good with sports. I was very good with dramatics. So I was a very arty kind of a person. I was not like, from the academics point of view, I was like absolutely zero, I would say. But in the arts and in the performance arts and the sports, I was excelling. That actually pulled me out of that fear and anxiousness and that anxiety that, अच्छा ठीक है, कोई तारीफ नहीं करता है, तो at least I have something as a savior.
Right.
And
Right.
I always had silent cheerleaders in my family who used to silently cheer me
Appreciate you
and
also.
appreciate.
Right. Right.
But I always felt that I wish I
That
had
did not
somebody who would appreciate and applaud me loudly. I would have been far better than what I was
Right.
at that point of time.
Right.
But I pulled myself out. But ये families में होता है.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Even
yes.
those comparisons which are made, that also impacts the mental health of a child.
Absolutely. Because when your own people feel that you're not good enough, you start looking at yourself and thinking that, oh, maybe I'm not good enough. And then today kids also have the additional social media, and, I mean, if you don't get one like on the whatever you've
Correct.
put up, it's like your self-esteem gets affected.
Absolutely.
And constantly they're looking for that kind of external validation which comes in,
Very true.
So,
what, according to you, Doc, is panic attack? Because we keep hearing about panic attacks. But how do you describe a panic attack? Because nobody understands in which form this attack comes.
Right. So, see, a panic attack is basically an attack of anxiety. Okay. And that attack can come anytime. It's not necessary that there should be a stress and there should be an anxiety attack. And that is why people get really uncomfortable when out of the blue, they will have breathlessness, their heart rate may go up, they may get chest pain, their hands and feet may start sweating, they start stuttering, they may not be able to talk, they may find it difficulty to breathe. Now what happens is when something like that happens to them, a lot of people think that they're going to get a heart attack. Okay, and they rush either to the hospital or they will tell someone I'm not well and they'll call a doctor. Now, typically what happens is by the time you reach the hospital or a doctor gets called in, a lot of the symptoms have settled. Okay, and at least now people know it's a panic attack. earlier people would say, nahi, kuch nahi hai. Okay, now I have felt all these symptoms, and if somebody says kuch nahi hai, or people will get an ECG done, they'll say ECG clear hai, kuch nahi hai. Okay, so then people would get even more scared, because I am getting these attacks and somebody is telling me kuch nahi hai, then where am I supposed to go? What am I supposed to do? Okay, so typically people would start not getting out of the house because I can get this panic attack anywhere and I feel absolutely uncomfortable with it. So we used to have people who were housebound, who have stopped working, who have stopped going out. There were some, I remember this woman who would go for a bath, okay, but not lock the door of the bathroom because she was so scared कि मुझे bathroom में ऐसे attack आ जाएगा. So what will happen to me? What if I die and I don't get help? Okay. And the worst case which I have seen in 35 years of practice was this lady who had not gotten out of a room for 8 years. Okay. And people just thought it's okay. She's lazy. She doesn't want to do anything. Okay. Till I think I think the daughter got married and the son-in-law said, what's wrong with y'all guys? This is a psychiatric disorder. Let's go and meet a psychiatrist. Okay. And I remember we started working with her, how she got better, how, even just going to the market or even going for a movie or going for dinner then was celebrated because she hadn't gotten out of the house.
My God.
Okay. And panic attacks. So there's a panic attack and then there's a panic disorder. So one may just get one attack and then when you start getting many attacks, definitely is the time to meet a mental health specialist. Because there are different reasons why people could get this. But the good news is that it is absolutely treatable. And hence it should be treated immediately.
When you're talking about the symptoms of panic attack, now I recall and I feel that I also got one. This was the incident when I think I had mentioned this to you earlier also, that during COVID, I was as it is feeling very anxious.
Right.
And one incident actually changed my whole life because I was on a public platform virtually. And this was a speaking assignment and we had a lot of people on the forum from different countries. I don't know, I was feeling a little uncomfortable. And the moment it was my turn to speak, I could not even give my own introduction. I saw somebody's eyes and I got totally blacked out. So after that, I was just, fumbling and saying some random things. But I could not speak a word after that. And everybody was waiting for me to complete my sentence. I was talking about my organization. I just could not. And that was such an embarrassing situation because I had very important people. I had my own students from the institution.
Right.
I had my husband on the platform. I had a lot of people from US, UK, Singapore, so many people and distinguished guests. And I had to cut a sorry figure. And after that, the same symptoms came where I started trembling. I started stammering. I felt that I'm going to die because my heart was like, beating so fast. I started sinking after that. I lost my appetite. I started having major hair fall. I lost a lot of weight. I would stammer and I had, virtual phobia, social anxiety. I could not meet people. So I just, deteriorated after that. And I realized that I need to see a mental health professional. And that was the time I went to a psychiatrist. I took medication and then I started recovering. But thankfully, I had that much sense that I realized I need to see somebody who's a specialist in mental health. And the reason why I felt like this was that I felt I failed myself. Because I never failed in life. I failed in academics. That's a different thing.
Right.
But वो मेरे लिए matter नहीं करता था. But life में
Right.
Because I had accomplished so many things in life, this was a big failure and I couldn't handle it. So this is where I felt, but does this happen to people where because of one incident,
Right.
this can change?
Absolutely. First of all, I think it's brilliant that you're sharing this today because you don't understand, but the minute people start sharing their personal experiences, because otherwise, if anybody looks at you, they'll say, oh my God, look at this, glamorous, confident, she speaks too well, she's working, she runs this company. Now, when you share something like this, you're actually telling people that this can happen to anyone.
Absolutely.
And the truth of the matter is just like anyone can fall and fracture their leg, this is like a fracture of your emotional health.
True.
And it can happen to anybody. And one incident also, like for you, it was an important incident. Maybe other people would have felt ki chalo, ho sakta hai. And they have not looked at it as minutely as you've looked at it.
True.
And you've taken it as a failure. And that has impacted you. Okay, but I'm so happy that you took help and you got out of it. And
I feel if I wouldn't have spoken about it,
right,
if this would have been a stigma which would have lived with me, I wouldn't have recovered in 2 years' time.
right.
If I would have sulked and tried to hide
Yes.
what happened with me, I would have suffered for years. And I didn't want to do this because I wanted to make mental health normal.
Absolutely.
It is a normal scenario where I feel that if you can take tablet for migraine,
Right.
any kind of medicine for your stomach ache,
Right.
you can take medicine for your mental health as well.
Absolutely.
So there is nothing wrong, like how people tag you that तुम तो पागल हो
Hmm.
या तुम्हारे में ये प्रॉब्लम है, तुम्हारे में वो प्रॉब्लम है. This is a taboo which we have to break as responsible
Absolutely.
citizens, as
Yes.
somebody who has an impact on the society. We need to come out. I think we need to set an example for people so that they can understand that this is a very normal situation.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it is so common. I have taken antidepressants 2-3 times of my life. I remember the first time, I think I delivered my daughter, and then I was looking at the medicines and I realized the gynec had put me on an antidepressant. Okay, so then I discussed with him. I took it for some time. And then twice in life, there was something. I think once my daughter went abroad to study and I was really missing her. And I didn't realize it. I started losing weight, I started exercising. And then I spoke to one of my friends about it. And he suggested, saying, why don't you just take some medication for some time? And I did it and, things changed and I got out of it.
Absolutely.
And I talk about it very openly because then people say, अच्छा आपने भी खाई है? I said, हाँ मैं आपके सामने हूँ, क्या मैं आपको पागल दिखती हूँ? You understand? कि ये hormonal changes होते हैं जो दिखते नहीं हैं. And just because a fracture cannot be seen, but depression is like trying to drive a car, in quicksand. You're trying, you're doing everything, but you're not able to do it. And that itself stops you. You're not sleeping well, you're not eating well, you were losing weight,
Right.
you were losing hair. So it's impacting you somewhere.
And I think I really worked a lot on myself at that point of time because I had started stammering.
Right, right.
And the only thing I felt was a saving grace was I started taking music classes. And that helped me because I was able to bring
Come
my
out,
voice
yeah.
out and I was able to come out of my own shell.
Right.
And that was a very helpful remedy of this situation. And also I feel that, like you mentioned, that you have taken, antidepressant. I have taken antidepressant for 2 years. I don't see anything wrong in treating a problem. You have to find solution. You don't have to find a problem for another problem. And that is what people need to understand. They don't tag people just because they've taken XYZ medicine.
Right.
That, अरे अच्छा इसका तो दिमाग खराब हो गया. This is the first thing that you get to hear. या ये तो बहाने कर रहा है, इसको कुछ करना नहीं.
Yes. People are blamed for their mental health. So just as I was coming here, I was talking to this parent whose son is going through mental health issues. But why can't he go to work? Why can't he just get up and go to work?
Correct.
He can't get up and go to work. That's the problem. I said, today if he had a fracture of his leg, would you say, why can't he get up and go and run the marathon? You would understand because you can see it. Here, because you can't see it and you don't understand, the more you see it, the more you're delaying the person's progress. Because then the person is saying, oh my God, my own parents think that I don't want to go to work.
Right.
They can't understand that I cannot go to work. There's a huge difference between the two.
So how do we make such people understand? How do we bring that awareness? I'm sure we as, responsible people who have an influence on the society, we do make an
Right.
attempt. But then apart from that, how does one see that red flag in people where, kahan se
So,
start?
the first thing that starts with when people are not able to sleep well.
Okay.
And what happens is typically they will either go and take a sleeping pill, or they may start drinking alcohol, or just pick up whatever is available. Okay. So when that is the first red flag, when someone says, I'm not able to sleep well, or when somebody, with youngsters, they will start sleeping excessively in the daytime.
Okay.
When you ask them, they say, oh, but I'm not sleeping at night. And typically, parents get upset. They say, what is this? Why are you sleeping in the daytime? Wake up, do something. And then the lecture starts. Okay. And the misunderstanding starts because a child needs to be understood, or the youngster needs to be understood. And instead is being blamed. Oh, you must be watching too much TV. You must be all the time on your phone. Now, what happens is the more you tell them, the more they're getting inward. Okay. And why only youngsters? Depression is something that can also affect a geriatric citizen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Elderly people. Okay. People who are a little confused about their gender, the LGBTQIA. Now, these are also people who get affected. Okay. People who've come out of some crisis.
Right.
Whether it's a financial crisis or, a broken relationship or a broken marriage, and when people say, "Arey, snap out of it, come out of it," it is not possible. And the mistake that people make is, oh, I went through this, I did this. Arey, genetically you're made differently. That person is made differently. So one is recognizing the signs. 2 is, please do not give unnecessary lectures. 3 is, if you really want to help, listen to that person. Instead of telling them what to do, ask them what is happening. Okay. 4 is, try to support them by maybe taking them to a mental health professional. Initially, they may say, no, nothing is wrong with me. But at the same time, if you say, no, I know someone who went through this, or share some, literature with them, some books or some articles with them, and tell them that, listen, I'll come with you, you don't worry. Okay. Now, many a time people are also scared of taking medication.
Right.
Because they feel, oh, the medicines will make me sleep, I'll be drowsy, I'll be hooked onto it, all my life I'll need medicines. Now, these are the myths. You're uncomfortable, you have questions, please spend time with your doctor, ask them the questions, ask them for how long are you going to give me medicines.
I think we all live on assumptions कि दवाई का मतलब
Yes.
मेरे में कुछ serious problem है.
Yes.
Which I think we need to understand that if you don't treat yourself, the problem will only increase. It will not reduce.
Absolutely. Just like a fracture.
Correct.
You have a fracture, you don't treat it, you'll never be able to walk again.
Absolutely. And that is why I think I had read a very interesting phrase that people don't fake depression. They fake being normal.
Absolutely. I think it's a wonderful phrase.
And that is what happens, that we try to pretend that everything is fine
Yes.
with us.
Yes.
And we'll try to do everything that is required. But then internally you're just killing yourself.
And look at the eyes of a person
Okay.
who is depressed. The eyes will talk volumes. When COVID was around, there was a joke. I would say, thank God the mask is here and not here. Because when you look at the eyes of a person, you can understand what is actually happening to them.
So when you see somebody without even speaking, will you be able to make out that there is something wrong?
See, of course, I'm not going out in the world looking for that.
when
But
somebody
you
comes to
can
you.
make out, no? You can make out because somebody may be brought to me saying, oh, he's very angry, he doesn't like to talk to anyone, or he's just withdrawn from a relationship, or like recently I had this young girl who was brought to me because she doesn't want to get married. Okay, going to work, doing everything, doesn't want to get married. Within the second session, I realized she was going through depression and she was so scared of taking any additional responsibility. And we treated her depression. And last time she came to see me and she said, I've already met somebody. So many a times something which may come out as a life problem or a situation problem. My children not doing well in school. Bachcha hushar hai but is not able to study. Why? So instead of giving advice, we need to understand why. And we need to help the person. And maybe once is not enough. Maybe you need to persist. Like, many a times when I talk to young students, they say, what do? We know our friend is depressed. Okay, what do we do? I tell them, I say, just persist. Keep listening to him or her and saying, no, we are coming. So I have a lot of young kids who will bring their friend, and saying, we really think he or she is depressed. Could have started after some relationship breakup. But we need to persist and help them till they are out of the woods.
Absolutely. Anjali, in India, many still believe log kya kahenge and
Right.
don't allow people to go and see a psychiatrist. I'm sure you must have witnessed a lot of people like that as well. So how can such families move past this kind of mindset?
So, often there is one positive person in the family. Okay, and what I do is when I sit with maybe a youngster or maybe a lady who is going through, difficulties and she's saying, मैं नहीं आ सकती, मुझे आने नहीं देते, I tell them to look for that one positive person. It could be your family doctor, it could be some aunt, some uncle, some teacher that you may have not known, and I say just anchor on to that person.
True.
And then that person becomes the change. When that person starts communicating, or many a times what happens is I tell people, bring your family. I will answer all their questions. And when they come to the clinic and they see, oh, this is a positive clinic, my first question is, you were sitting outside, did you see anyone looking crazy or mad to you? And my joke is that when you see two people entering a cabin, I want you to say who is the patient and who is the relative. Because people are so normal. So, these myths and misconceptions start, breaking up. In fact, why talking about others when I wanted to become a psychiatrist and I'm talking about 1985, you can imagine the stigma at that time. People would come and tell me कि हमने सोचा है कि जो डॉक्टर हैं पेशेंट को ठीक करते करते खुद पागल हो जाते हैं.
Oh my God.
This is what, and my parents looked at me and I said, I want to do it. They said, करो. So same people will come and say, हाँ आपने बहुत अच्छा काम किया क्योंकि इतनी ज़रूरत है.
In fact, after Deepika Padukone spoke about
Yes,
her own journey of mental health,
right.
depression, anxiety, and now when Amir Khan is advocating that, I go
Right.
to therapy sessions
Right.
and it's so good. In fact, his latest podcast also spoke about this, that I wish I could take therapy when I was 18.
When I was 18, I read that, yes.
That was
Yes.
so amazing because that sets an example for so many people that therapy is normal.
Yes.
So
yes.
according to you, who are the people who can take therapy? Is it only somebody who needs mental health support or even otherwise?
No, so see, when you're talking about therapy will help anyone. Okay, if you want to do better than what you're doing today, whether it's in a relationship, whether it's at work, whether you just want to achieve more in life, and achievement is not only about earning money. It could be, as you said, I want to sing, I want to do social work, I want to do so many things. How do I pack my day with so many things?
Right.
Now, how do you do that is the clearer you are in your mind, the faster you can go ahead. Because you are not judging yourself, nobody else is judging you. Now, how do you reach there is by doing therapy. Okay. But, I just want to clarify one thing. So there are two things. One is mental wellness, as you know, where one can do therapy, improve themselves. And the second is when you need treatment. Okay, so when something has gone wrong, when either there's anxiety, depression, OCD, whatever, insomnia, panic attacks, then for that, only therapy will not help. Because you also need to fix the problem. And many a times, people have this zid ki nahi, main dawai nahi khaunga. I will never take medicines. That's stupid. Today, if you have a fever, will you take a paracetamol and go to work, or will you be sitting at home for 3 days because main dawai nahi khaunga?
Right.
So I think that balance needs to be achieved. So therapy can help anybody. And if somebody is mentally not feeling well, then you must see a psychiatrist.
Absolutely. So, which means that therapy also could be like a clarity session.
Absolutely.
Where you get a lot of clarity about your own self.
Yes.
How you have certain knots which are there in your mind.
Yeah.
Which need to be unknotted.
Yes.
And
yes.
I think that's something which can benefit everybody. And there could be another therapy which could be for people who are dealing with certain mental health challenges.
Yeah. There are different types of therapy.
Right.
Okay, and what happens is like one shirt will not fit all. Okay, we need to tailor make the therapy for the person who is coming to us.
Right, absolutely. You spoke about OCD. Now, what is OCD? Because it's a very commonly used word.
Yes.
तुमको तो OCD है, तुम बहुत सफाई करते हो.
Yes.
तुमको तो OCD है, perfectionist होने की. So, is this term medically proven that there is OCD?
So there is a medical term called obsessive compulsive disorder, which affects 15% of the population.
Oh.
Okay, now what is obsessive compulsive disorder? It means that you don't want these thoughts, but unnecessarily you will keep getting repetitive thoughts in your mind. Okay, and sometimes what happens is the thoughts will only go if you do a particular action which is called, so the thoughts are the obsessions and what you do is a compulsion. Okay, so for example, when people get this thought that, your hands are dirty, your hands are dirty, your hands are dirty, then what happens is they go and wash their hands. Now, sometimes they get stuck in that loop where they may be washing their hands 7 and 8 times and they have skin problems, but they cannot see it.
So, which means this could also be a form of illness.
It is a form of illness. But when people say, oh, tumko to OCD hai, they are not talking about OCD. That is a personality they're talking about. Ki you are a perfectionist by personality. Ki, oh, you're so particular about cleanliness or about dirt or about anything. So that is not OCD. That is just your nature, which could be an obsessive personality disorder, if at all you want to call it a disorder.
All right.
So there are two different things.
Got it. If someone who seems to be very cheerful, very lively, can that person also have some sort of mental health issue?
Absolutely. So there is something which is called as a bipolar disorder, which is a mood disorder. Okay, just as the mood can go low, it can sometimes for no reason, it can also go very high. Now these people, they come across in a party, they'll be the happy people, they may be, making everybody else laugh, okay, or they may be gambling, or they may be spending excessively. And all that could be a part of a mood disorder, which is opposite to depression, which can either be mania or hypomania. Okay. Now, with such people feel that something is wrong, but I can't pinpoint. But it is often the close relatives of that person who will say, for few months he's like that, and then for few months he's depressed. Now, these people also may need a medicine which is called as a mood stabilizer, which stabilizes the mood, and helps them to stay in a normal sense of a mood and not go very high or not go very low. Because if they go very high, they may take extremely rash decisions, and which could maybe family decisions or impulsive decisions.
Can you give some example?
I was
you
just
have experienced something like this.
So I was just remembering this man who suddenly, after 3 years of a happy marriage, okay, said that I'm not happy with my wife. Okay, and he started having multiple partners. Okay, left the family business, said I don't like what you all are doing. Now, of course, the family was thinking that what happened to him? And they kept typically, Indian family, they kept telling the wife, you should do this, you should do that. But actually, when I spoke to them, I said, this person has a problem, he has a medical problem. Isko dawai deni hai. Give him 2 to 3 months of medication and see the difference. And that's what they did. First he was saying, I'm not going to take medicine because nothing is wrong with me. So we had to cajole him, and then slowly he stopped womanizing. He joined the family business back again. And he would tell me, but I'm missing that high phase which I had. But actually that was not a normal phase. Because I kept telling him, I said, after the high is going to come the low. You will not like that. So please take the medication. And he thankfully listened.
In fact, I knew somebody who was absolutely normal, very cheerful, everything, but had to be on medication every single day. The day this person would skip the medicine, the temper will flare to another level. And then for no rhyme or reason, this person will keep shouting and screaming and look for excuses to, get into a fight.
Yes. So excessive anger, aggression, violence, can also be because of a mood disorder. So it's very important for people like this to not miss their medication. Just like if you have diabetes or blood pressure, you're not going to play around with your medicines. So similarly, for people like this also, you cannot miss your medication.
Absolutely. I also see, so in my own practice as an image consultant, being run an institution, I see a lot of women who come to us, and although they are looking for starting something of their own, they seriously lack that self-confidence and they have a lot of self-doubt issues. And that is largely because they've always been in a very comfortable environment in the house. They want to do something, but they are not able to. And I also see that there is, a silent, thin line of depression, which they don't speak about. They're very low. They come from good families, but they are still very low. So I always feel that the homemakers in our society badly need help.
Absolutely. So, you brought up a very, very important topic of women and mental health. Okay, now women at certain stages of their life can go through mental health issues. Okay, menarche periods when they start. After marriage, depending on the society, how they are treated. Some of them get married to the Raja Betas and they're just supposed to comply and do everything, and they're criticized all the time, and how their self-esteem starts getting damaged. Some of them may have hormonal issues after a child is born and slip into depression. Okay. And then instead of getting the help that they need, they're only reminded that, what are you complaining about? I'm the one who brings food to the table. So because of all this, they start feeling low. Okay, and then many a times they may suddenly get up and say, I should do something. Okay, but for that also many times they need permission. Okay, and because of all these issues, they may, till the time they reach you, they've gone through years of depression. Okay, but it has been a silent depression just because they're not sitting and crying. Many a times you will also see that a lot of metabolic changes have happened. They have thyroid issues, they have blood pressure, they have diabetes, they've put on 15-20 kilos of weight. And that is adding to their self-image.
Most of them who come to us have very poor self-image.
So it's very, very important that with all that you are doing, get them assessed for mental health problems. And once that is treated, you will see how easy your work becomes, because they actually want to fly and they are able to fly.
True.
but
And I
it's like
always
something is
see
stopping
that
them.
people, especially women, they go through this also because they lack identity.
Yes,
They
yes,
lack that power of, earning their own money. Although they may come from, like I said,
yes,
very affluent
yes,
background.
yes,
But having your own decision making ability and that authority, when you don't have, they automatically are a pure sure shot case of
yes,
mental health.
yes, yes. And
And I'm
that's
sure
where,
you must be seeing a lot of people like that.
and it's very, very important. I remember a 70-year-old lady who had come to me once, and she said, I want to start earning money. I said, what happened? She's saying, it was the 30th of the month, and my husband told me that my friend is coming for tea. So I told him, it's the end of the month, just give me some money, I'll organize some snacks. And she says that, he threw 50 rupees on my face and says, first learn to earn money. Now I want to learn to earn money. Okay. So, I told her, I said, sure. So we went through whatever she was going through. And I told her, I said, okay, when you earn money, please get me a Cadbury chocolate. Okay. And that time that Cadbury chocolate used to be, some 10 rupees or whatever. So you won't believe it. Next month she came back with a Cadbury chocolate. And I said, wow, what did you do? And I had just helped her. I told her, I said, in addition to treating her depression, I told her 2 hours sit with the computer. Okay. And she found something on the computer which gave her money, and her self-esteem went up. So it's all very complexly linked. And when you start slipping into it, you do not realize.
I think a
You know?
large percentage of women in this situation need help.
Absolutely.
Need help.
Absolutely. And then what also happens is, they fall into the trap of spending money to feel happy. Okay, if I get a bag, if I get these clothes, if I, they'll shop endlessly. Even today, it's become so easy to shop online. And then that becomes a bone of contention and saying, oh, you're only spending money, you don't know how to earn money. But instead, it's important for people around them to pull them out and help them, to get onto their feet without, without leaving the marriage.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Also, tell me, Anjali, is insecurity in women also a disorder?
So, when you say insecurity, many of the times it's
Because
it's
when I
like
see a lot
suspicion.
of women shopping,
Huh.
like you just mentioned,
Huh.
that they shop. And I always feel that sometimes when they're hiding certain aspects of their personality because they feel deficient,
Right.
they do this. So, could this also be a disorder which can be?
Absolutely, because what happens is that you're just bored. And because you're bored, you don't know what to do. So you're trying to seek some excitement, some stimulation.
A
You
dopamine rush for
Yes.
that moment.
Yes, yes, yes. And then that becomes a habit which is again a self-destructive habit. So an insecurity sometimes can also come in the form of suspicion. And the suspicion itself comes from you feeling low or not feeling good enough or feeling inadequate. I'm not good enough. So maybe, my husband is talking to someone else, is looking at someone else because your own relationship is not doing as well as you want it to do.
And such people definitely need help.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because they're suffering. They're suffering every day. Overthinking, overanalysis, it's just
Again,
cluttering
comes
the
back to
mind.
your own self-perception.
Yeah.
Because everything is so interconnected.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wonderful. So, what are the physical symptoms of anxiety? Because a lot of people talk about anxiety because anxiety also, I think, comes in different forms.
Yes. Yes. So, anxiety can be as simple as you saying, I'm feeling anxious, मुझे घबराहट हो रही है. Okay. And feeling it at an emotional level, or you can be feeling it at a physical level. When you feel it at a physical level, it could just be that, you hear something and you rush to the bathroom. Okay, you may have loose motions. Okay, so it can affect every part of your body. So right from feeling tremulousness, to affecting your voice, to stammering, to breathing difficulties, to sleeping difficulties, to butterflies in the stomach. Okay.
That's also a form of anxiety.
Yes, yes. So when someone asks me to describe anxiety, I tell them, that dirty feeling you get before an exam, that is anxiety for you.
And anxiety could be in the form of palpitations as well.
Yes, yes. So if it affects your, so one way we say, it can affect your sleep, it can affect your breathing, it can affect your, it can have cardiac symptoms like palpitations, sweating, or you can just feel tremulousness, or you can have stomach symptoms.
Anjali, you spoke about medication for depression and anxiety. But does one need to draw a line somewhere, or it is purely by the doctor? Because a lot of people also have this complaint that, they have put on weight because of medication, or they've lost excessive weight. Could it be because of medication, this feeling, just a psychological feeling, or there are some side effects of the medication?
So what happens is the earlier medicines which were given maybe 25, 30 years ago probably had a lot of side effects. Okay, today the newer medicine hardly has any side effects. But what happens is people have been so conditioned to believe that it's happening to them because of the medication. That in my first session, I first clear these misconceptions. And I joke with them. I said, agar aapke neighbor ke chachi ko bhi problem aayega, you will think it's because of my medication. So the first week is very important to be in touch with them because there's so much fear. So what happens is, even like they will try a medicine and anything happens to them, they'll say, oh, is it because of the medication? So it's very important to just handhold them in that first week. And what I tell people is, when you're going to a doctor and if you think there is a side effect with the medication, instead of going to doctor, go back to the doctor and ask him or her that, this is what I'm experiencing. Because, as you said, sometimes when you're suffering from a mental health disorder, you may either have eating problems, you may either overeat, undereat, and that is because of the problem. It's not because of the medication.
I was coming to that there could be an eating disorder.
Yes.
Which may lead to putting on weight or losing weight. Like in my situation, I had lost tremendous amount of weight because I just could not see food.
Right. Right.
A lot of people also have put on weight because they eat a lot of sugar, meetha and, fried food. And that's like binge eating when you are not well.
Right.
So different people have different kind of symptoms during that time.
Absolutely.
And I think to a great extent, people should refrain from exposing themselves with a lot of information that is floating around through Google and all the other, information that is on the internet, because they start feeling that if I can find things on my own, why to ask a doctor?
True. Also, what the mistake that a lot of people make is, instead of going, like today, if I have a fracture my bone, I will go to an orthopedic. I won't go to a faith healer, then I'll go and get my tarot read, then I'll get my Janam Patri read, then I will say that, oh, can I do this, can I do that? Naturally, I want to, Arey Baba, go and address the problem, na?
सबसे पहले mental health problem होते ही,
yes,
the first thing that people go to is an astrologer.
Yeah.
I have seen so many such cases that आप मुझे बताओ कि मेरे साथ क्या हो रहा है, मेरे तारे ऐसे हैं, मेरे सितारे ऐसे हैं, and all those kind of things.
Yeah, and faith healers, and there was a time where, young girls who were going through mental health issues were taken to, these so-called faith healers who were sexually abusing them.
I've also heard a lot of
girls, when they would come to us, they would start talking and they would say, my parents didn't understand what I was going through. They took me and they left me alone with that man who did all sorts of things with me. So it's very, very important, because at that time they felt, Arey, this one is possessed, usko bhoot aa gaya, chalo usko.
Correct.
This take
still
the
happens.
person. Yeah.
Today this still happens in, cities which are like smaller towns and cities like tier 2, tier 3 cities. Even today.
Yeah.
All these belief systems still exist. And this is where we, I think, need to really approach, and we need to spread ourselves
Absolutely.
so that more and more people become aware of all these
Understand
things.
what is happening and how it should be treated.
Very true. Anjali, what does childhood trauma play? What role does childhood trauma play when it comes to depression and anxiety? Is there anything that is deeply connected or deep rooted when it comes to the personality traits of
Right. So, what happens is trauma, especially in childhood, can affect a person all their life. Like for example, if somebody loses a parent at a very early age, 50% of those people can go into depression as adults because they have taken the trauma so deeply. So whenever there is any trauma, these are the children who should be addressed to. They must be taken even if they are not showing any signs or symptoms, because that can just go and impact them so deeply, and that can come across later on in life in different forms.
This, in fact, reminds me that my son's friend, one of my son's friend, he lost his father during COVID, and he had some other comorbidities, and all of a sudden we got to know that, he's no more. And this boy was just about 7 or 8 years old.
Right.
And prior to that, he used to be very cheerful, such a brat,
Right.
very lively. Ever since this incident took place, he has stopped smiling. He comes to my house every second day to play with my son, but he doesn't smile. He
Right.
just doesn't
Right.
smile. He doesn't talk much. He just has few words that he would say
Right.
in terms of
Right.
communication. And he has lost his childhood completely.
Right.
He's become a very mature, very quiet,
Now,
I would not even say adult, but he's
Yeah.
like in
Yeah.
between,
Yeah.
adolescence, a kid who has like not seen his childhood the way other children
Right.
see.
Right.
But I see a very big red flag in his
Right.
personality ever since his father is gone.
Right. Right.
So, like you just mentioned, that, this is
such
a
children
very
have
traumatic
to
experience
be
for him.
addressed, because also what could be happening in his case is maybe the mother is also going through something, and then people make such ridiculous statements. When say a boy loses the father, they'll say, now you are the man of the house. How are we telling a 7-year-old that
Right.
you are the man of a house? It doesn't make sense.
Absolutely.
So I think it's very important that when we are going through, when people look at the financial needs, talking about COVID, we did a project during COVID where, there were orphans, COVID orphans, who had lost both their parents in Maharashtra. Okay, and along with the financial help that they were getting, we thought we should counsel them. So all the psychiatrists of Maharashtra came together. Okay, there were 400 kids.
Oh my
And with the
God.
help of the Bombay Psychiatric Society and Maharashtra psychiatrists, what we did was, because then it came to very, per person, there were hardly 3-4 kids that you were seeing. Okay, so I said, because, okay, the government is giving them money, but the money is going to adults who sometimes may just want the money and will not take care of the child. What about their emotional health? Because you can give them everything, but if you do not take care of their emotional health, how is this child ever going to settle down or move forward?
True.
And with the help of local counselors who we trained, who were around, who could meet them often. Okay, so sometimes we use teachers, sometimes we use counselors, sometimes it was the psychiatrists themselves who paid attention to these kids and tried to help them.
Wow. Amazing.
So there are a lot of things but emotional health is very, very important.
Absolutely. So tell me, when we talk about mental health, people who are going through mental health, is it a myth or a fact that they are dangerous or unpredictable?
Absolutely not. Every time there is a murder in society, media will contact me and say, do you think this person had mental health problems? And I tell them, I said, please, aap mere patients ko gaali mat do. Because it is not people with mental health problems who will get violent, okay, or aggressive. Okay, there are mental health disorders in which anger is a huge part of it. And once treated properly, the anger goes away. or sometimes people who could be having suspicious thoughts, or maybe a disorder like schizophrenia may get angry, may get reactive. But once you treat it, it all goes away. So
In fact, I've heard a lot about schizophrenia, that people who have this disorder, they are not safe for the society.
Absolutely not. Yes, they must be treated. If they're not treated, then they become suspicious, and then the suspicion can, affect you, everybody. Like if I'm sitting here, I may think that all of you are against me. Okay, but if it is treated, then there is no reason. And that is why we emphasize on treating the disorders as soon as you can. But there are more dangerous people out in the society who do not have mental health problems.
True. So, when it comes to schizophrenia, can they be forever cured, or they are on a medicine which they need to take lifelong?
So, as every person is different, each person suffering from schizophrenia is also different. Okay, so there may be people who are absolutely all right for a long time, and then suddenly following some stress have a problem.
It triggers.
Okay, it triggers them. Now, these people, if it is the first attack, what we do is we start medication. We see how they are doing. We maintain them on a small dose of medicine, and in some cases we take off the medication. In some cases we feel, just like in diabetes or blood pressure problem, that they may need a small maintenance dose all their life, which could be either in terms of one tablet, okay, every day, one injection once in 15 days, okay. So it differs from person to person. But when I meet people, I tell them to be prepared. I say, even if you have to take a medicine all your life, which keeps you well, why wouldn't you take it?
Right.
And even though people say, no, doctor, try and reduce, try and stop my medicine. My next question is, I don't know anybody who's not taking a medicine. I may be taking a supplement. You may be taking something else. Somebody else may be taking something else. So let's get over this and move on. Because if there's a treatment available, why wouldn't you want to do it?
Absolutely. Makes a lot of sense. Do men and women experience depression differently?
So, men and women experience emotions also differently and share emotions differently. When men may become more withdrawn, okay, and not really share their emotions, or, even if two men are discussing emotions, they will say, let's go for a drink. Whereas two women will say everything. Oh, I couldn't sleep, I was crying, this one's done this to me, that one's done that to me, and that itself, they share emotions a little differently.
So, even depression could be different in different genders.
Yes.
Type of depression.
Expression could be different, as well as experience could be different. Where a woman maybe she's crying. A man may just shut his emotions and not want to talk about it, or may want to work excessively. Because,
or it could be vice versa also. Right?
Yeah. It could also be vice versa. So, what the expression is from what you are genetically tuned to what you have learned in childhood, okay, to how you've seen other people express emotions. And that can affect how you share it also.
Correct. Children cannot have mental health issues. Myth or fact?
It's a myth. Children also have mental health issues. Okay. Now, 10% of children, 10% of boys have something which is called as attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Okay. Which needs to be assessed. ADHD.
Why boys?
So, genetically it affects boys more than girls. Okay, it's not that girls mainly have more attention disorder, where the boys have this component of attention and hyperactivity. So that is something. Then we are also seeing a lot of other learning disabilities, autistic spectrum, and of course emotional disorders. Children, when they see people in the environment, when they've gone through something themselves, they start getting affected. Emotionally, they get affected. And that needs to be addressed.
So, how does anybody know that this child has ADHD? What are the
So,
triggers or what are the symptoms?
So, children who cannot pay attention, teachers will keep saying pay attention. But, what I tell teachers is I said, try and understand why the child is not paying attention. Is the subject boring for the child? Is it that the child is interested in something else, or is it that the child's attention span is small, is shorter, and that's why he is getting distracted? Okay, so that is the first symptom. Parents are normally told, this boy is smart, but he's not studying. Start studying. But the child knows everything, but every time he or she sits down to pay attention, they get distracted very easily. And because of that, their performance gets affected.
So, is there any way to diagnose ADHD?
Yeah. You need to meet a child psychologist or a psychiatrist. And we also have tests that we give the parent or the teacher. And tell them that just fill up this form for us and show us, and we will tell you what is the problem. And children themselves tell. There was one child who, the minute his mother, I told them, he was extremely hyperactive. It was affecting his self-esteem, because everywhere he went, people would make fun of him. People didn't want to play with him. So I convinced the parents. I said, let's give him a small medicine. The first day the child took the medicine, he says, I feel so different. I want to study. I want to do things.
Wow.
And they were thinking of, parents had come to me thinking that, we'll have to take him out of the school, we'll have to put him in a special school, etc., etc. And today I think 6 months and he's doing so well.
Excellent. So, there is treatment and cure
Absolutely.
for everything.
I mean,
which is related or which is in the arena of mental health.
Yes. At least you should get assessed and take whatever help that is required. Along with that, the child may need to do some occupational therapy, etc., etc.
And I think the most important thing is to recognize.
Exactly.
That if there is something which is not the usual.
Yeah, which is looking unusual and it's disturbing you, then
medical intervention is always good, because कुछ नहीं बिगड़ता है. एक बार एक medical approach लेके, if you go and just seek advice, there is nothing wrong.
Opinion.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wonderful. What is the responsibility of the schools to create an emotionally safe environment? Because these days we also see that bullying or peer pressure, these things also affect the mental health of a child.
Absolutely. Now, schools have thankfully understood their responsibility. There are counselors in the school, but the first job starts with the teacher picking up such children. If you know a child is intelligent, I mean, why are we only looking at the top 5 or the bottom 5 in the class? Why are we not looking at all the children and noticing what is happening? But thankfully, a lot of schools have started implementing this. We do teacher workshops and workshop with the parents, and tell them that this is what you need to look at. Okay, if a child is unusually quiet, is become very, is sitting and eating alone, very important. Everybody else is playing, everyone else
That's not
is
normal.
sitting. Yeah, what is happening? Why is this child feeling like that? If a child is trying to attract too much attention in the class, what is happening? Pay a little attention, talk to that child, listen to that child, do not label, and help children to understand what is bullying. Okay, and tell them what they should do if they feel they are being bullied or harassed. Who are the people they should meet in the school? Okay, create safe spaces in school itself and allow them to come and share. A lot of schools are already working on it, but of course, it's still the tip of the iceberg.
Right, absolutely. And I think it's also very important for not just the teachers, but even the parents. It's both ways.
Yeah,
I would say.
Yeah.
You have to work
as a team.
As a team.
Yeah.
To understand, because every child matters, and it's not just one number for the school. It's a life
Yes.
which is very important to deal with, and that is why the system of having counselors on board is a great system,
Yeah.
because wherever they feel that the child is not the usual self, they are taken to the counselor, and when there is some sort of discussion and there is some sort of a discovery which is made in the behavior pattern, they always bring that to the attention of the parents,
Yes.
and then the further,
It's very
investigation is
important
done.
for parents also to be a part of the process, because sometimes schools complain that, we know there's a problem with the child, but the parent is refusing to accept it.
Okay.
So that's also another problem that we see.
Mm-hmm.
But then we tell the counselors how to deal with it, and we try and support the child, because the parents may be going through their own issues.
Especially when parents don't have a very cordial relationship
With each other.
with each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
yeah.
greatly impacts the
child.
child.
Yeah.
And they may just all of a sudden become absolutely quiet, or they would share this with the friends.
Yes. Or become rebellious
Yes.
also.
Yes.
And want to attract attention. So, vaping, smoking, all these different issues start.
Troubled,
Yes.
cases. What's one thing you wish every parent knew about emotional hygiene in children, and how early should this start?
I think there are many things, of course, that I would want the parent to be happy. Because a happy parent, would automatically, be able to spot problems in their kids, understand them, not be reactive, not be quick to judge, not be quick to criticize. So I think if there's one thing that I would want to tell parents is, invest in your own happiness. See how you feel. And when you are happy, you're going to be able to, I'm not saying happy parents equals to happy kids. No, kids can go through something else which happens. But if you yourself are happy, satisfied, relaxed, contented, then you'll be able to understand what has happened to your child and take help. Do not say, oh, I'm such a good parent, why my child is going through this. It could happen because of anything. So be calm, be relaxed, and help the child to achieve his or her potential, which is, of course, a lifelong journey.
Absolutely. And I always feel that when a parent is going through depression, children take that tendency from them.
Absolutely. Many a times children think it's their responsibility to take care of the parents.
Yes.
Which is a huge responsibility. And that affects their own mental health.
In fact, when I shared my journey about my mental health, the biggest motivation for me to pull myself out of depression was my children.
Right.
That I don't want an environment where they see a depressed mother.
Right.
And they should not get into doing a research on what depression and anxiety is, because that environment also sucks you.
Yeah.
In the whole, situation.
Yeah.
And that is why, even though I was suffering, my husband knew about it. My older daughter knew about it. My son never knew about what depression is. And I was, like I said, that, people fake being normal. So I faked to a great extent. But at the same time, I also kept treating myself. So I always tell people that you should, even if you feel that you have something which is not going fine, always look for something which is very highly motivating for you to come back, bounce back. And don't succumb to that situation, although sometimes it may not be in your hand.
Yeah.
But if you are able to consciously understand that you have something which is not normal, try your level best to pull yourself out of it.
Right.
And that will greatly help you, and you will, in no time, overcome that kind of challenging phase as well.
Absolutely.
So one last question to you, Anjali. This is called breaking the segment question. So what is that one myth you would like to break around mental health?
Strong people cannot have mental health problems. Now, anybody, whether it is rich, powerful, strong, religious people, anybody can have a mental health issue. Or maybe one more, mental health problems cannot be treated. No, they can be treated. Just start taking the treatment.
All you have to do is start.
Absolutely.
And don't
And it's
assume.
not as difficult as it looks like, you know.
Don't live in assumptions that, ये तो
Yeah, yeah,
पागलपन की निशानी है.
yeah, yeah.
Just start. Take the first step.
Absolutely.
And you will be out of this within no time. Great. Thank you so much, Anjali.
Thank you.
This was a wonderful conversation, and with your credentials and the way you have, demystified so many of these myths that people have around mental health, I think this conversation will actually bring light into so many dark lives which are suffering in silence. So thank you once again.
Thank you for having me here, and thank you for giving mental health importance.
Thank you for joining us in this eye-opening episode with Dr. Anjali Chhabria. Mental health isn't just diagnosis. It's about emotions we all quietly carry. If this shifted your perspective, share it. Someone out there might be silently struggling. Let's break the stigma around therapy. Let's talk about healing and make mental hygiene a part of everyday life. This is Perception and Beyond, where truth meets empathy and awareness becomes empowerment.